I'm going to show you how to build an add-in for Visual Studio using Visual Studio. The plumbing and the infrastructure are not incredibly complicated, and a lot of the work is done for you by a wizard. That lets you focus your time and effort on actually writing a useful add-in that does exciting things. My add-in, not so exciting, but it will show you how this work is done. So I'm going to expand the Other Project Types node and then select Extensibility. And you see here we have Visual Studio Add-in. Don't be distracted by Shared Add-in. That's the Office logo. That's to make Office add-in. So we want a Visual Studio Add-in. And I'm going to call mine Talker, because the design I have for this add-in is it's going to read some of your code to you out loud using the text-to-speech API. You can create them in any language that you see here, C#, VB, and both managed and native C++. I think it's time to give C# a chance, so I'm going to choose that. If I had Visual Studio 2005 on this machine, it would detect it and offer me that as a host. I'm fine with this. And let's just put in a name and a description. Okay. I want to put my add-in on the Tools menu. That's a very common way to let people, talk to it and interact with it. And you might have a different one that reacts to certain events, such as something being added into the solution or building happening or whatnot. But we're just going to put something on the Tools menu that people can read. I do want it to load when the application starts, and I've already designed this. There's no dialogue to ask you what parts of the code you want to read. It's just going to read the selection, so I can guarantee that I won't mess up command line build. I don't need an about box, so I'm going to let it finish. It's going to generate my solution, add the references, pump out some boilerplate code to get me started implementing the IDT extensibility 2 interface, and also the IDT command target interface, because I'm on the Tools menu, so I'm saying that I'm willing to be a command target, and I'll get those commands that are chosen when somebody chooses the menu item. So what we have in here is a couple private variables, basically representing the object, application, DTE, actually DTE2 in this case, and the methods of IDT extensibility 2. They're connect, on add-ins update, begin shutdown, on connection, on disconnection, and on startup complete. The other two, exec and query status, are from the IDT command target. And most of these are pretty empty. You'll notice connect is pretty empty. On connection has a fair whack of code in it. And really all this code is doing is adding the item to the Tools menu for you. Okay? Look through the rest of it, you can see they're just pretty much blank. And query status and exec are a little bit filled in. We're going to come back to that. But first I want to show you what happens if I just hit run using nothing but the code that was generated for me. It builds and launches another instance of Visual Studio. I don't have anything open in this instance, obviously. If I go on the Tools menu, there's my add-in Talker. I can even click the button. Nothing particularly happens. So the code that I've been given works, and now it's my job to get in there and make it do something interesting. That happens in the exec method. Right now, let me just unpin the Solution Explorer so we got a little more room for the code. The code that's been generated for me basically says, what's the command name that I've been passed in? What's the execute option? Is it go do my default thing for Talker? Great. In that case, this is where the good stuff goes. So what we have right now is we just say, okay, I took care of it. And instead, I'm going to step in here and add some goodness that will, in fact, do something interesting. So I'm going to add a reference. On the COM tab. To the Microsoft Speech Object Library. And then I'm going to put an instance of the SP Voice class here as a private member variable in my class. So that here in the exec method, I can actually get a hold of that voice and ask it to speak. This is the sample add-in. Okay. The second option to the speak method is simply some flags about whether or not you want it to be read, for example, asynchronously, which I do. So I'm going to choose the async option. Semicolon on the end. So this should now just say that sentence to me when I run my add-in. Launches another instance of Visual Studio. And there's my talker item on the menu when I click it.
This is the sample add-in.
Not bad. This is the sample add-in. Okay, I've had more exciting, but you know, it definitely ran my line of code when I clicked the button.